Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining. We've got we're a couple minutes in, so I can go ahead and get started. So thank you guys so much for joining this webinar tonight. So to get started with the hour, I'm going to walk you all through a brief overview of the Northeast Middle Outer Community Area Plan, and then we will open up the floor for discussion. Um, I'm hoping you guys can see my screen, but if not, feel free to unmute yourself or pause me if needed. Thank you, Mr. Larson. Um, so yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. So to start, for a brief overview before we jump directly into the plan, the reason for developing the community area plans is because Charlotte has been continuously growing for decades and is projected to keep growing. In response to the projected growth, our city adopted the Charlotte Future 2040 Comprehensive Plan in 2021, which defines our 20-year vision for growth and change in Charlotte. And the plan essentially calls for future growth to benefit as many people as possible. While the comprehensive plan provides the broad vision for our community, there are other levels of guidance needed to make our vision come to life. This is the planning framework adopted within the comprehensive plan, and it identifies the subsequent levels of guidance that are needed. So level 2, which are our strategic plans, are citywide documents that provide more details than the comprehensive plan on a particular topic. For example, the strategic mobility plan provides more guidance on how to realize goal 5, which is creating safe and equitable mobility choices. Level 3 planning are these community area plans, which we're discussing tonight, which provide more guidance for the appropriate land uses, building form, and infrastructure needed throughout the planned geography. And level 4, which are specific plans that focus on smaller geographies and provide more guidance and implementation, more guidance for implementation of specific projects and topics. So it's important to note that on levels 2 through 4, they all build on the vision and goals outlined in the comprehensive plan. So community area plans are essentially about creating communities, or complete communities, which means creating places that integrate housing, job opportunities, and daily goods in an accessible manner. In other words, live, work, and play in the environment that you live in. So the community area plans were developed within a 5-phase process over the past 2 years. Staff has been offering multiple engagement opportunities in each phase and sharing the outcomes along, and we've been sharing the outcome of each phase on our website. So this slide summarizes the engagement efforts that we've done from phase 1 through phase 4. We've reached over 400,000 residents, both online and in person, using a range of constant and coordinated tactics. So that includes things such as social media posts, videos, our website, our online interactive content, and that's all available online. And while virtual interactions are obviously great, we still really value our in-person interactions. And so we've been able to interact with about 6,000 people from phases 1 through 4. And for this planning effort, we've hosted 50 workshops in which we asked residents to join us, but we also made it in an effort to meet people where they were by attending other meetings, festivals, and then the libraries across the community. You can see kind of the geographic dispersion of our in-person interactions on the map to the right. Throughout phases 1 through 4, we received 1,700 comments that helped shape these draft plans. All of this engagement builds on the feedback that we received through the comprehensive plan process, which is about 500,000 interactions, and the 6,000 interactions we received with the policy map. So, oops. So the plans were developed using a systematic process, meaning they were developed in the same way and will have the same components and format within each of the plans for all of the geographies. While the plans developed systematically, each plan includes both unique content that reflects the individual character of that geography, as well as some new common policy guidance that helps achieve our vision. These plans provide a common set of considerations for all decision makers to ensure we're consistently evaluating options in line with the city's vision. Over time, these considerations will help ensure that the growth is accommodated in a way that will respect established neighborhoods, aligns our projected growth with our infrastructure capacity, and helps create a vibrant and mixed use and it helps create vibrant and mixed use centers for all. And bear with me, my computer's a bit delayed. Okay, there we go. So with all that background, now I'm just going to kind of walk you through the contents of the plan. So here is the Northeast Middle Outer Plan. All of the plans are organized in the same way, broken up by these different chapters. But the content in each one is specific to each of those areas. So these plans will include an introduction, which provides kind of an overview of the information I shared, like in the previous slides. Then it goes into the community area profile, the community needs. We have a chapter for creating complete communities, supporting the vision, the implementation section, and the appendix. So I'm just going to go through a brief overview of each of these sections. So for the community profile area chapter, it provides an overview of the area. So that includes a summary of the projected residential units and new jobs for the area, as well as a comparison of local demographics to citywide demographics. For the community needs and goals chapter, the geography's greatest needs and prioritized goals are outlined. For this geography, the first priority is focused on increasing access to housing choices, followed by access to job opportunities, then access to daily goods and services, followed by environmental justice. The plans focus on these four needs because these are the metrics identified in the comprehensive plan as paramount for ensuring future growth benefits as many people as possible. The 10 comprehensive plan goals were linked to these four metrics, and if a metric scored less than 5, as shown on the screen, the associated goals were identified as priorities for the geography. I'll also note that all goals are important to each geography, but this helped prioritized list will help prioritize limited dollars and resources. The Creating Complete Communities chapter focuses on the recommended development pattern for the geography via the 2040 policy map, which is the map you see on the screen. The colors in the map relate to the types and intensity of development that is appropriate for each area. So to learn more about these colors, you can see the place types description in the appendix of our plans. These plans recommend that for the Northeast Middle Outer geography, 78% of the geography will remain as is, meaning if redevelopment occurs in these areas like Neighborhood 1, then new development should match the scale and intensity of development on the ground today. So the plan recommends 22% of the geography to evolve into a different type of development than what exists today. These changes will help accommodate our projected growth in a way that respects neighborhoods, pairs growth with infrastructure capacity, and creates mixed-use centers, which help increase access across Charlotte. Now, the map can certainly change over time, and there's specific guidance around that within the program guide section under the table 3 for minor map amendment criteria. So that that guidance that's in the program guide, it helps show how future requests for changes are aligned with our growth strategy. The rest of the chapter illustrates the types of changes. Oops. The rest of the chapter illustrates the types of changes to the policy map and how the recommended changes help advance the geography's priority goals and address their greatest needs. The next chapter, Supporting the Vision, includes 5 sections and references the Neighborhood Toolkit. The Neighborhood Toolkit is included within the appendix because it's a reference for all geographies. And the toolkit catalogs all of the great programs that are currently available to residents to help address the various community needs. And the intent for that is for this toolkit to be a resource to empower neighborhoods who want to take some action. For example, For example, there are multiple programs that are offered for groups or individuals to tap into amenitized common to tap into programs that help um, amenitize their common open spaces in their neighborhood. So for the mobility section, in this chapter, it was developed in coordination with CDOT, so the Charlotte Department of Transportation, the Charlotte Area Transit System, and CRTPO, which is our Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization. It restates that Goal 5 from the comprehensive plan, which is safe and equitable mobility. It's important across all of Charlotte. It includes a clip of the citywide streets map for which outlines the future cross section for our arterial streets in Charlotte for this geography. Guidance for smaller streets is informed by the UDO regulations. This section summarizes the citywide strategic mobility plan and highlights the strategic investment areas within the geography. The strategic mobility plan is a level 2 plan type of guidance that outlines the city's mobility policies. The strategic investment areas outlined in the plan is a citywide investment strategy for maximizing the city's limited investment dollars in an efficient and impactful manner. Next, the mobility section includes a new level of guidance called the mobility assessment. So this assessment evaluates how well our future mixed-use places are meeting our aspirations as outlined in the place type descriptions. So these assessments should be used by all stakeholders, so residents, developers, and city officials to help inform future development and infrastructure decisions and projects within these areas. For example, if a developer wants to rezone a site within one of these mixed-use locations, they should use this assessment to propose a project that improves conditions identified here. Similarly, community members can evaluate a proposed project against this assessment to determine if the policy contributes to the area's aspirations, and they could, after adoption, then they could refer to this as policy that's been adopted. So the open space and community character chapters include a similar assessment because open space and character are important components of the place type aspirations. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to jump into those slides. But I encourage you to visit those chapters online to review and comment if you're interested in those sections specifically. So for the next section, environmental justice and sustainability, those build upon the comprehensive plan's vision to reduce environmental impacts across Charlotte. This section provides more detailed analysis of the environmental impacts within the plan geography, providing information on tree canopy, impervious surfaces, proximity to industrial and major infrastructure, and floodplains, as shown in the assessment dials in this top image on the right that you see here. It also introduces heat impacts as a new environmental metric that should be considered in future decision making. The implementation section also provides additional specific strategies for various partners and agencies for advancing this work and contain illustrative concepts that provide some visualizations for how those areas that are recommended for changes may evolve over time. The program guide and appendix that I mentioned are also available for your review, where you can find additional background information to support the content in these plans. And so after adoption, after the plans would be adopted by City Council, the plans are implemented in multiple ways. So the private and public sectors both have a role to play. Plans may be implemented through private development, public-private partnerships, capital improvements, or rezonings. And community area plans are an important component of Charlotte's planning framework, but they're not the only tool in our toolbox. We also have the specific plans that I mentioned, which focus on smaller geographies and are more implementation focused. And we have the ability to develop this guidance if and when needed across the city. So keep in mind, planning is cyclical, and we plan to monitor and update the comp plan and the community area plans every 8 to 10 years. And so with that, just to understand the next steps, so staff is going to share the comments that we've received and the potential amendments to the draft plans with our planning committee next Tuesday. And council has decided to delay the decision on their adoption from May 27th to sometime in June to give the public more time to review and comment on the plan. And then I'm happy to answer any questions or accept any comments related to all this. And once again, just invite you all to review these plans in detail. I just kind of shared a brief overview highlight of these plans, but we invite you to share your comments either in this call, through online. And I was going to share one more slide real quick. Just to show that various ways you can continue to give feedback outside of this meeting if you want to share with others. So we have our virtual open house that's available on our website. We have the draft plans available online that you can read and comment on. We have hard copies at libraries across the city. We have the public hearing that was this past Monday, and then we have this webinar today. So with that, I will pause and I'm happy to answer any questions for Mr. Larson or for Carolyn if you have any.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning. I came in when you were saying the word mobility.
Okay.
Are you saying that we need to go to the website to get more details? You're not going in-depth discussion here tonight.
So yeah, so what I just did, I just gave kind of an overview of the Northeast Middle Outer Plan that kind of shows the components that are in each of the plan that are each in section that are in each section of the plan. I'm happy to kind of go through that again also. But yeah, we're also accepting comments and doing our best to answer questions while we're in this call. So I'm happy to go through the slides again to kind of give you an overview of what you might have missed, or if you have comments specifically, I'm happy to take them as well.
For me, mobility, I guess, is a big issue. I live off of the Back Creek area where there's so much development going on,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just no sidewalks, and we swerve around, kids in the road trying to get up and down the road,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no turning lane. So if an accident happens, we get backed up, and we gotta circle back and go all the way around another way sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the best area for all these housing developments and not to have any sidewalks
Mm-hmm.
um, and bike lanes.
Yeah, let me go back a bit to the mobility section. So um, I'll share here. We have, so within this plan, we have the supporting the vision chapter, and within that, we look at mobility. So there's a few different things. We have the strategic mobility plan, um, which is kind of the streets map right here that you see on the top. Um, and this kind of focuses on major arterial roads. As far as specific neighborhood roads, outside of the street, and I will back up and say, this is typically I think the topic of Charlotte Department of Transportation, and we developed these plans with them, but they're really the subject matter experts. Um, so yeah, this is the strategic mobility plan and the Charlotte Streets map. Um, and it identifies the kinds of roads that need to go on kind of like the major roads across the city. And then there's programs for like sidewalks and bike lanes as well. Um, and but and then we have kind of these sections here within this plan that we focus really on the mixed use centers where they highlight via the strategic investment areas, areas that kind of need some improvements. Again, because it's such a large geography, the focus within these sections were really the areas that are of mixed use. So if it's mostly residential, you probably won't see these areas highlighted in the plan. However, I can document where you mentioned, so the Back Creek area, and I can also comment. You can also make comments on the policy map and to kind of identify those areas. And so we'll share those comments with our partners at CDOT.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Actually, Carolyn, I would just add you and I are probably neighbors somewhere because I'm also in the Back Creek area. And I hear I hear your point. We're driving and there's people walking along the shoulder, and at night especially it's very difficult to hear, difficult to see. So it is an area that I think, yeah, I think you
That
and I are this
flex.
of the same mind, right? That we really need to do something as a city to address that.
Yeah, that's noted. Thank you, David and Carolyn.
And I see Monica's joined as well. I just wanted to give a shout out, and I saw you in front of council the other day, and
Hey,
you did a
Monica.
good job defending the not defending, but sort of advocating for the plan. So thank you for that.
Oh,
And
no, thank you guys. It's great to hear everybody's comments. I was in a different breakout room and I was just telling them I'm popping around a little bit. So if I disappear, I'm just kind of checking in on how everything is going. So I just left West Dinner. So anyways, but thank you.
thanks, Monica. Yeah, and David, I heard your comments on Monday as well about the need for kind of more mixed use centers in your geography. So we have that noted, and we're considering that within our feedback.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean,
And
especially for folks like Carolyn, who, I mean, who's talked about the highlighting the need for mobility. I mean,
yeah,
to access things in a more local fashion, I think will help everybody.
yeah, absolutely.
I do have a question. I think it's been a few years now that something came out about the city wanting to change University City Boulevard to help with the traffic. Is that they were trying to make it a kind of one way and have a turn lane? Um, are you familiar with that? I was just wondering if that is still in the works or not.
I'm not familiar with this project.
Yeah.
Let's see, we can take a look and let me see. I can see if I can pull this up on our if I can pull up the strategic mobility plan here on at least. Let me see if I can find that project, and then I'll see if I can provide more info on here. And while I look for this, if anyone has any other questions or comments, um, feel free to unmute and ask. Just bear with me while I look for it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Carolyn, you might be talking about the Eastern Circumferential Road project that's going to rework
Mm.
University City Boulevard and Back Creek Church,
Oh, okay.
kind of at the same time. Actually, if I recall, they're actually going to, at the railroad tracks at the intersection of University City and Back Creek, they're actually going to block that off and turn it into a cul-de-sac. So we won't be able to
Mm.
access University City directly from Back Creek.
Well, that would be a nightmare. Um,
Oh, well, they're going to provide another way, right? It's routing you through the residential neighborhood across from Back Creek Church Presbyterian.
oh,
Uh,
that's not good for that neighborhood. Gosh.
yeah, I'm like
Yeah.
you. I'm a citizen of the area, so I can't. I mean, I don't know. I don't live in that particular neighborhood, but I imagine it will increase traffic for them.
Okay, I think this, let me see if I have the right one. I pulled up on the screen. Let's see, is this the right one? University City Back Creek Church. This might be the project page that provides a little more info. I can put this link in the chat as well. Again, I'm not super familiar with it, but they have the project contact in here.
Okay.
That might be worth, or if you might want to like, where's the
Yeah.
chat?
Take a
You
picture of
can,
it. Yeah,
yeah, I'll
I
drop
got
it
it.
in the chat in here as well.
And
Okay,
this would be the project where there's opportunity to put sidewalks and bike lanes. And so, I mean, Caroline, would
right.
make your voice heard.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's in the design phase right now. So, and I think you can sign up right here to receive texts or emails about it. And then, of course, yeah, you can reach out to the engineers and you can see if there's when the opportunities for engagement will occur again.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm glad you knew that, David. Thank you.
Yes,
Oh,
thank
of
you.
course. Mhm. I mean, I actually just sort of had unless Carolyn had other questions, I just sort of had a general question that
Yeah.
I know the council voted to delay their decision pending gathering of more feedback in this webinar and so forth.
Yes.
Um, I know Monica had said that the staff was preparing responses to the comments and feedback.
Yes.
Is there a plan to revise the plans based on the feedback or simply to provide responses?
Yeah. So the I think so. Let's see. Let me see where we have money. Yeah. So we are preparing our responses to the comments that we received, and then I think we're going to present a way to address those comments. So, yeah, I think there might be some different buckets of how we respond or how each of them are um, responded to. But yeah, so I think on Tuesday at the planning committee meeting, we'll have a little more to share about that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, and I understand. I mean, there's a process and there's a lot of comments, which is great, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. And
we
so yeah,
just love
we'll
to see
have
it. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll have all the comments up to this week that we'll share on and provide some plans for how to address those comments on Tuesday's planning committee meeting. And then we're continuing to accept comments until then. So we'll continue to kind of do that in like a batch form um, as those comments continue to come in.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah. Any other questions or I can also, if you'd like, I can kind of show you where these plans are if you haven't, Caroline, I know David, you've looked at the plans, but Carolyn, if you haven't looked at it, so our website is cltfuture2040.com.
Okay,
And then, and I can share that QR code again at the end. But basically, you can view the virtual open house here that kind of provides a high level overview of the plans. But to view the specific plans, you can click here. It was a little slow earlier today, so let me make sure it's coming up. So right here, northeast middle outer, and then click here. It might take a second to load, I think, since there we go. It did work today. Okay. So you can come in here, kind of read through all of the contents of the plan. So there's these different chapters, table of contents, introduction, community profile, community needs and goals, creating complete communities, supporting the vision, implementation, and then the appendix. And as you're going through each of the sections, if you see something that you want to comment on, you can just click on it and then you can put your name or your email here
okay,
and add your comment. And then you can see other comments that people have made as well
okay.
on here. And you can if you like their comment, if you disagree, you can do that as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Mhm. And I'll put the QR code here. Yeah, this is the QR code. And then if your neighborhoods or your communities didn't get a chance to join this webinar, but you want us to join your community meetings, you can reach out to we have our email located on our website. You can reach out to us and we can plan to have you join our office hours where we have more kind of one-on-ones like this. If you have others that want to hear it or if you're having a community meeting, we are also able to go out to the community meeting within the before the adoption time comes.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Good to know.
Yeah. I can, if it's helpful, I can also go back to the beginning of this. If there's no other questions or comments from David or Carolyn, I can kind of go back a little bit so I can share the overview with Carolyn that you missed.
Okay,
Okay, great. Okay, let me go forward a bit. Okay, so I'll just kind of start in the beginning. So these plans were really developed because we know that Charlotte is has been growing for decades and it's projected to keep on growing. So in the next 20 years, we were expecting about 400,000 new residents and 200,000 additional jobs. And so, yeah, we know growth is coming. And so the comprehensive plan was adopted in June 2021 by City Council, and that kind of provides the overarching vision for the city as it grows and develops. And so while the comprehensive plan provides the broad vision for our community, there are other levels of guidance that are needed to make our vision come to life. So this is the planning framework adopted within the comprehensive plan, and it identifies the subsequent levels of guidance that's needed. So Level 2, which is strategic plans, are citywide documents that provide more details than the comprehensive plan on a particular topic. For example, the strategic mobility plan provides more guidance on how to realize Goal 5, which is creating safe and equitable mobility choices across the city. Level 3 plans are these community area plans that we're talking about today, which provide more guidance for the appropriate land uses, building form, and infrastructure needed throughout the planned geography. Level 4 are specific plans that focus on even smaller geographies and provide more guidance for implementation of specific projects and specific topics. So it's important to know that levels 2 through 4 all build on the vision and goals that are outlined in that top comprehensive plan.
Okay.
So community area plans are essentially about creating complete communities, which means creating places that integrate housing, job opportunities, daily goods and services in an accessible manner. So in other words, living, working, and playing in the environment, having amenities for the living, working, and playing in the environment that you live in. So the community area plans were developed within a 5-phase process that has occurred over the past 2 years. And so staff has offered multiple engagement opportunities in each phase, and the outcomes of each phase have been shared along the website and are implemented into the plans that have been developed. So this kind of summarizes the public that we've reached, and we have this map that shows kind of the places that we were physically at throughout the communities in the past couple of years. So the plans were developed using a systematic process, meaning that they were developed in the same way as all the other geographies and have the same components and the format within them. It's just each plan is different with the content just based on the geography and everything. So yeah, each plan includes a unique content that reflects the individual character of that geography, as well as some common policy guidance that helps achieve the vision. And these plans provide a common set of considerations for all decision makers to ensure that we're consistently evaluating options for growth in line with the city's vision. Over time, these considerations will help ensure that growth is accommodated in a way that respects established neighborhoods, aligns growth with our infrastructure capacity, and helps create vibrant mixed-use centers for all. So with that background, we'll just kind of walk through the content of the plan. And again, all the plans are organized in the same way. So these are the chapters that you see outlined here.
Mm-hmm.
The first section, the community area profile, provides an overview of the area. So it'll include a summary of the projected residential units and new jobs that is expected to come to the area in the future, as well as a comparison of local demographics that show how demographics within this geography compare to the whole city. So this is
Actually,
the, uh-huh,
sorry, Maria, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you go
yeah,
back to the previous slide?
yeah,
So, so I know Carolyn was talking earlier about mobility, physical
mhm,
mobility, being able to get places. But
yes,
what strikes me about this slide is social mobility, right? And
mhm,
we know that Charlotte actually ranks pretty poorly. There was a recent the Harvard study where they were ranked 38th out of 50,
yeah,
major metropolitan areas.
yes,
And Northeast, Middle, and Outer, when you look at the statistics, this area actually is below average for Charlotte. So
yeah,
it's an area that's very, very challenged, right?
yeah,
Um, and I appreciate that people are saying, well, we need access to housing. But I think what people are actually asking for is they want more affordable living, right?
hmm,
Which, again, at the risk of repeating myself, I mean, when people spend most of their money on auto insurance and car maintenance and so
yeah,
forth because they have to drive to their jobs and drive to the store, that's that's something that works against affordable living and social mobility. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if there's a way to capture that. And I'm not necessarily looking for you to defend or respond to it, but just to capture that concept.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and yeah, with the goal of kind of with the goals that are kind of identified in the plan, and it's going to take time, but the goals of creating complete communities where you have access to housing, jobs, amenities within 10 minute, 5 to 10 minute walk, bike or transit ride. So yeah, and I know as you mentioned before, like you would like there to be more centers throughout this area, which um, that I think would help kind of go towards that goal. But yeah, and then kind of on the next slide where this kind of talks to a little bit, speaks to that a bit. Yeah, so having the 10-minute neighborhoods, more a better access to housing and jobs and amenities. So yeah, hopefully like it'll move the needle over time slowly, like doing these like land use policies and the programs that kind of support it. Um, but yeah, I absolutely hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We'd all
Um,
love to wave a wand and make it all happen.
I know, right?
But
Can we
it's a
can we
process.
just do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Um, but yeah, so yeah, as mentioned, the geography's greatest needs and prioritized goals for this geography are shown here. And these were based on metrics from the comprehensive plan. If you're like really interested in all the metrics and how we arrived at these numbers, you can look in the appendix and we have a section that kind of outlines how everything was measured here. Um, there's like maps and all this. So there's a kind of a lot of background to this. But yeah, so the main goals that were identified within this area is access to housing, so housing diversity. So housing diversity, housing cost, housing size. So having more housing options in this area will hopefully, that's one of the main goals that's one of the main goals for this geography. So and hopefully that would help to move the needle a bit on that. And same thing for access to jobs. Both of those scores came out the same, and then access to amenities, and then environmental justice. And so with these measures right here, the goals and the plans were assigned to each of these metrics, and so that's kind of how these goals were identified for each.
When you have a goal of a 10-minute neighborhood, what does that mean?
Yeah, so this means to having the ability to uh, have a walk, bike, or a transit trip of 5 to 10 minutes to access kind of everything you need. Let me pull up the goals right here, actually. Yeah, so in this section here, goal 1, 10-minute neighborhood. So all Charlotte households will have access to essential amenities, goods, and services within a comfortable and tree-shaded 10-minute walk, bike ride, or transit trip by 2040. So that's the goal, and it's a difficult goal to achieve, but that's kind of the goal and the vision. And this kind of helps detail a little bit more of that, if that answers that.
Okay, yes, it does.
Okay, good.
I just have to chuckle. We can't get anywhere in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's it's a goal that's going to take a long time to reach across the city. For many, some areas have it an easier time of it than others. But yeah, that's the goal ultimately. So yeah. Um, oops, let me go back here. Okay, yeah. So then we have this creating complete communities chapter. So this focuses on the land development pattern for the geography via the 2040 policy map, which is this map here shown. And this map is also available for comment as well. And actually, I will also quickly show you how you can comment on that map. So if you go on our website, right here on the Charlotte Future 2040 website, under 2040 policy map, you can click on revised policy map. And so you zoom in to an area. This shows the policy map. The areas that you see in kind of this yellow highlighted thing, these are the changes that are being made to the policy map in this current effort. So if you click on it, it'll say adopted. The current adopted map is the manufacturing and logistics, and Revised place type is campus. And I'll show you what these place types are in just a second. But so what you can do is you can make a comment on the map.
Okay.
One second. Oh, you click on that and then you drop one down and then you kind of answer these questions and hit create. And so that's what you see down here is all of these comments that people have made. So if there's an area, as you can see, this area does not have a lot of comments right now. So if you guys want to go on here and drop comments on here, you're welcome to do that. And we've accepted comments in other ways. So this isn't all the comments that we received for your area. So just this is where you can go and do that. Um, and then I'll show you also just what the place types are. There I have a lot of screens pulled up so I can refer to them. Place types. Okay. So these are the different place types that are shown on the map. So the yellow is going to be neighborhood 1. So that's primarily single family neighborhoods. And one of our biggest goals is preserving those existing single family neighborhoods. Then neighborhood 2 is slightly higher denser housing. So the orange will be apartments and townhomes mostly. And then the pink color is neighborhood center. So this is one of those mixed use centers that will provide access to housing, amenities, services, and possibly some jobs as well. And then we have the parks and preserves area. This is really uh, um, county-owned places that they have reserved for parks and preserves. Then we have our other centers, Community Activity Center and Regional Activity Center. Regional Activity Center is mostly going to be like Uptown, University area, South Park, and Ballantyne. So kind of like the really dense centers. And then community activity centers are more intense than neighborhood centers, but not as intense as regional activity centers. And again, they provide they're mixed use areas that provide access to housing, jobs, and goods and services. And then commercial centers are going to be more car-oriented destinations for retail and retail, other services and hospitality, and those are often along major roads or interstates.
Okay.
Then the campus place types, which is this teal color, and I know this is a lot of information, so you stop me at any time if I'm going too fast. So the campus is this teal color. That's going to be institutions, so university areas, and like the actual university, so UNC Charlotte, Johnson C. Smith, and then kind of larger school or office campuses. Then the manufacturing and logistics, this dark purple, is going to be industrial sites, manufacturing sites. And then we have this innovation mixed use in this light pink, which is really typically former industrial sites that have transitioned to more of mixed use and less intense uses. So that's kind of
Okay.
this color that you see here. So I'll go back to this map here so you can kind of look at all the colors all together. And these are all identified here.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so for this area, let me make sure we're good on time. Yeah, okay, so we have a cutoff at 6, so we have about 15 minutes here. So I'll keep going. But if you have any questions, please stop me. Yeah, so for most of this area, the plan recommends that 78% of the geography remain as is. So it won't, it's not anticipated to change other than what it looks like, other than the kind of development that's there today. But for 22% of that geography, they're recommending that it transitions to another type than what exists today. And let me jump back again over here. Sorry. Let me go down to an example of where this happens. Okay, so yeah, the 22%, as I said, 22% of the area is recommended to evolve to a different place type. So for example, there's some areas. So there's a vacant area on Verona Road that is recommended to transition to neighborhood 1 just because of the surrounding context. Then there's another area along Dolphin Lane that I think Mecklenburg County has acquired, and so they're going to transition some of those areas that they acquired into parks and preserves, which is a good thing. And then there's some commercial areas along North Tryon Street that they're recommended to transition over to community activity center. So in going from commercial to a community activity center, that will require more of a mixed use walkable environment. So hopefully doing this will help work towards that goal of creating more 10-minute neighborhoods. And then same thing for the plaza in Milton Road. There's the area here that's transitioned to go again to a neighborhood center. So it again providing to try to go more towards those 10-minute neighborhoods.
Okay.
Mhm. And again, this is policy that will guide future development as it occurs. So, it could take time, but that's the goal. And the goal is to get to that point. And
Hey,
oops.
Maria.
Uh-huh.
Hi, this is Renee
Oh,
Johnson,
hi. Good
Council
afternoon.
Representative.
How are you
Hi,
doing?
how are you?
Thank you for joining.
Thank you for this presentation and thank you to the residents that are in attendance. This is a great session. I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you about the anticipated change.
Yeah.
And we can certainly talk offline, but I'm looking at page 21 of the book.
Yes.
This is just a sample of the anticipated change, right?
Yeah, this is just a sample. Yeah, so these are just examples.
Is there anywhere else that a resident would know what specific areas are
Yes.
targeted for that
Yes.
change?
Yes, let me pull up this map. I just pulled up this map. So on our website, you can go here and so you can see the revised policy map right here. And that's what I have here. And so this map shows all of the comments that have been received so far for this map. So if you look on this map, the areas that are like popping out in with yellow outline, these are the areas that are going to transition. So if you click on it, for example, this one right here, this one's so the adopted place type currently, oh, this is a bad example. Okay, let me go to a different one. Okay, so at Harris and the plots. Okay, so the adopted place type was neighborhood 1. And the revised place type is neighborhood center. And I believe at this section is because there's an existing center around it, and it was some area that I think the zoning was slightly different. So it's making this center slightly bigger. And then same on this one. So this was like a neighborhood 1. I believe this is the post office right here. So it was adopted as neighborhood 1 in the policy map, but we changed that over to go to neighborhood center. And again, on this corner, so kind of expanding the corner at all 4 intersections, expanding the neighborhood center at all 4 intersections here, to make that center a little bit more bigger to help provide kind of like 10-minute neighborhood goal. Yeah.
So I don't want to oversimplify it,
Mhm.
but if a resident wanted to know how their neighborhood's going to change, right?
Yeah,
They could look at the map and the shaded areas are the areas that are targeted for change, that
correct.
22%. Okay.
Correct. Yep. They can just go in here. They can look around wherever they want to see the shaded areas. It's what's it's expected to in this next adoption. So the lighter shade color is what is currently adopted, and then this one is the transition. So again, this one is going from neighborhood 2 to a center. Again, expanding the center here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm popping in and out.
Okay.
But I wanted to make sure the residents know that they can reach someone after today's session. Can you make sure they have the contact information?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Councilmember.
Carolyn and David, for attending.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Let me see where I left off. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we were looking at this policy map here and the expected change. Okay, so same in this chapter, the creating complete communities chapter. Oops, sorry. Let me go back. Okay, so this chapter, the rest of this chapter illustrates, when those changes happen on the policy map, it shows how those recommended changes help advance the priorities, the geography's priority goals and address the community needs. So it shows when you go from commercial to community activity center or from commercial to neighborhood activity center, it helps advance these goals mentioned here. And then the next chapter, the supporting the vision section, includes the neighborhood toolkit. So the neighborhood toolkit is included within the appendix, and it's a reference for all the geographies. It provides great programs. It catalogs all the great programs that we have available to residents to kind of help address various community needs. So the intent is that this toolkit is a resource to empower neighborhoods who want to take some action. For example, there are multiple programs that are offered for groups or individuals that they can tap into if they want to do something, for example, like improve their common open space in their neighborhoods. Then the mobility section in this chapter was developed in coordination with CDOT, CATS, and CRTPO. And again, it restates Goal 5 about safe and equitable mobility across Charlotte. And it includes a clip of the citywide streets map, which outlines the future cross sections for arterial and major streets in Charlotte. And then the guidance for smaller streets is informed by the UDO regulations. And this section summarizes the citywide strategic mobility plans and highlights the strategic investment areas within the geography. So the strategic mobility plan is a level two plan type of the guidance that outlines the city's mobility policies, and the SIA is a citywide investment strategy for maximizing the city's limited investment dollars in an efficient and impactful manner. And I'm not sure if that's where we left off before when you hopped on, Carolyn, but if I'm happy to continue going, or if anyone has any other questions or comments, I'm happy to take those now.
No, I am good. Thank you for all
Okay.
that information.
Okay, great. Thanks, Carolyn. And I will share this on our website here. We have our contact info at the bottom of our website. So our email and our phone number for you if you have any questions afterwards.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm good as well. So again, I
Okay.
appreciate it. I know this is a journey, but thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks. Thank you both. And I will say at 6 o'clock, we're transitioning over to the uh, east and south geographies. So you're welcome to stay in this one. I'll be looking at the southwest outer or I'll be discussing the southwest outer geography. Or I think you're able to move rooms around if you'd like, or if you'd like help with that, I think I can help you as well.
I am good. I'm gonna hop off, but
Okay.
thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for spending your time here.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yep. Likewise. Have a good evening.
Thanks, David. All right. Bye-bye.